Jerry and Esther travel from Phoenix to San Diego, and it's so easy to know what to do. It's about 400 miles. They know they got to go west, and they know they're going to get there. They don't get halfway out there in the desert around Yuma, and because they are not yet in San Diego, take score and then freak out and then get disoriented and then turn around and go back to Phoenix. They don't get lost because the journey's easy to understand. But you get lost. Sometimes you're sick on your way to well, and you get lost and turn back around and go back to sick. Sometimes you don't have enough money and you're on your way to more money, and you freak out and take score and turn around and go back to not enough money. Can you imagine Jerry and Esther, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, and then they announce San Diego is the impossible dream. It's incurable. 25,000 miles they've got on their car. They said it was only 400 miles. We were misled. And we say, no, just turn in the direction of where you want to go and keep going, and you've got to get there. And there is no journey that is not exactly that way. There is no sickness that is not reversible. There is no poverty that cannot be replenished with abundance. You just got to point in the direction, but you've got to know what direction is the right direction, and you've got to know when you've made a U-turn without realizing that you've made it. There are two things that hinder you, dear physical friends of ours. The first is that more than 99% of every creation is complete before you see physical evidence. So you have to be satisfied to feel the improvement in your emotion and take that as an indicator that you are moving in the right direction even before you see the physical evidence. And that's what trips you up. That's why we see you on your way from sickness to wellness, making great progress and then turning around and moving back to sickness. Don't you find it interesting that with all of the scientific advancements that your environment has discovered, that there are illnesses that they still cannot find the bottom of? And it's because they're looking for the cure rather than the cause. They're looking for a Band-Aid to put on it rather than getting to the vibrational root of it. And so person after person has a vibrational root of discord, which causes the imbalance in their physical body, which erupts in some sort of disease. Science addresses the disease with a fix called a cure, only to discover that this person is very creative in their ability to shoot out another disease and another and another. You know people like that, don't you? Where almost as soon as one disease is put at bay, something else comes up and something else comes up. And the reason is because what was at the vibrational core, the discord at the vibrational core, was never addressed. And until you get to the vibrational core, then you haven't really addressed it. And law of attraction is just going to give you more. If you would decide today that nothing is more important than that you feel good, and you would set forth a mantra that says, not, I'm going to find the best feeling thought I've ever thought and hold it. That's not possible. But as I'm moving through my day, I'm going to reach for the best feeling thoughts I can find as I move along. That mantra, if you really mean it, will take you into bliss on subject after subject after subject. And we want to say to you that we can feel even as we feel you collectively, and especially as we feel you individually. You are so close to such incredible manifestations. All you've got to do is just sharpen your signal a little bit. In other words, who you've become is a bright, clear signal, but you muddy the water when you talk in opposition to it. So here's what we mean. So life experience causes you to launch a rocket of desire. So you say, I want more money. I want more money to do more things that I want to do, or to repair things, or to prepare for things. I want more money, you say. In fact, you've been saying it for so long that there are millions of dollars amassed for you in your vibrational escrow. We are not kidding you. There is so much that is there for you. And when you find vibrational alliance with it, it's going to flow into your experience with ease. So you've launched this rocket of desire, and Source says, agreed, 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 until there is this empire that is forming. Circumstances and events are being aligned in order to give you with ease this abundance that you want and deserve. And here you are over here complaining about not enough. So here's this bright, clear signal that is attracting unto itself. Now hear this. We've not said this before. When you give birth to something, Source joins it, and a very powerful point of vibrational relativity begins emanating, and law of attraction First time, law of attraction is being summoned to that point on your behalf. You hear that? You said you wanted it, source became it, and law of attraction is amassing around the non-physical part of you that knows your genius, knows your worthiness, and knows your heart's desire. So your world is becoming because of the information that you've been giving. The question is, where are you in relationship to this magnificent world that you are in the process of creating? So if you're over here complaining, where are you? You're offering a signal that is discordant to this signal, and so there is a gap between you and you. And as long as there is a gap, it is muting the brightness and the beauty and the speed with which your manifestations can come to you. We've never said it clearer. Did you get a picture of it? So when you want something, please let yourself go with it. Please let yourself imagine it, dream it, talk about it. Don't keep arguing for your limitations. Don't keep explaining why you're not over there yet. Don't keep trying to justify why things aren't better. It doesn't matter. And no one's listening that can do anything about closing the gap, you see. And so we're going to talk today, all day, about closing this vibrational gap, about moving up the emotional scale, about listening to the calling of source energy. And we so much want you to make a decision that wherever you are is where you are. In fact, that would be the most profound thing that you might ever write down in your journal. Where I am is where I am. Where I am is where I am, because where you are is where you are. Can we say it another way? Where you are is where you are. And where you are is just fine. In other words, where you are is where you are. And where you are in relationship to where you want to be is your business and nobody else's business. And that's why you've got the only guidance about that. So when you're asking other people about how you're doing, they don't know. When you try to get other people to give you data about that, all that does is, all of that world out there and all of those people, they are beneficial in helping you to have the contrasting experience which causes you to conclude your personal preferences. It's very nice to have a neighbor living life in a wonderful way and inspiring your desire for that. Or it's nice to have a neighbor living life in a horrible way, which inspires your desire for something very different than what your neighbor is living. In other words, all of that contrasting experience causes you to give birth to desires. But once the birth happens, which is all day, every day, you don't need somebody else's opinion because you've got internal guidance that's letting you know. And the thing that we think is the screwiest of all things that humans have come around to is we wonder, even though we know the answer, we want to put it out there, we wonder, it is incredible that humans have come to the place where somehow they got sideways of the idea that good feels good. How did that happen? How could it possibly have happened? We said earlier there were two things that are hanging you up, and one is that 99% of every creation is complete before you see physical evidence of it. So even though you may very well be moving toward the result that you're wanting because the evidence hasn't manifested, you don't believe it, and so you freak out and go the other way. And the other thing is that so many of you have come to believe that negative emotion is a bad thing and that you should avoid it at all costs. So then, when you're in a place of negative emotion, you want to do the impossible. You want to jump over into pure positive emotion. You want to follow your bliss from despair, or you want to get on a rampage of appreciation from your fear. And we say those vibrations are too far apart. You're going to fall in the crack. You're going to fall in the crevasse. You can't make the jump. Those quantum leaps aren't natural. So that's why we say to you, it is our desire that you make peace with where you are. So we would stand, if we were in your physical shoes, we would stand here now, wherever it is, whenever it is, and we would say, so here I am, and I have the ability to fork in the direction of things that will feel better, or I can fork in the direction of things that will feel worse. And even if you're over here in despair, and you're making an effort to fork, eventually, if you keep making the effort, you got to end up over there where you want to be. But if you're not making the effort, what we see with so many of you is you fork this way and you fork that way and you fork this way and you fork that way, and then you complain, this doesn't work for me. And we just say, if you fork this way and then this way and this way and then this way and then this way and then this way and then this way and this way, but this way and 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 this way. And since it's nobody's business Oh, there'll always be those in the peanut gallery that'll be standing there ready to say, oh, you forked that way. And you want to say, stick around if you want to see forking. In other words, what you want to say is, I'm in charge of this, and it's no big deal where I am in any moment, because I can tell by the way I feel what feels better. And so I'm not this red hot minute trying to improve everything in my life all at once. I'm just doing the best I can from where I am. And friends, what we want you to know in the way that we know it is that that is good enough. You're not ever going to get to the place where there won't be more that you're reaching for. The contrast causes you to give birth to a new desire, which source becomes one with immediately. And then as you reach to find the thought that feels better and you close the gap, you do close the gap and you receive the manifestation of it, but you also get more contrast that causes you to want something different. There will never be a time. It is our promise to you. It's what the eternity of this environment is all about. There will never be a time when you will stop giving birth to new things, and therefore there will never be a time the source is not calling you toward it. And we want to impart to you that that really is what life is. Life is this expansion, and then this closing the gap, and then this expansion, and then this closing the gap. That's what riding this wave of creation is all about. That's why you came forth. You didn't come forth to fix things that are broken or to fix a broken world. You came forth for the joy of the expansion, the joy of your personal expansion. And when you start letting energy flow through you, and you start hearing the call and moving in the direction of it, you'll start feeling the euphoria that is the true life that you are meant to live. A young man sat in the chair recently, and he said, Abraham, I have a question I wanted to ask, but my friend said I shouldn't ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. He said, why does the dog put its head out the window of the car and risk getting bugs in its eyes? And we said, because the ride is so worth it. It is so exhilarating to have your head out of the window of the car, you see. And it is with that same attitude that you came forth into this physical body. Not because something needed to be done, not because another painting needs to be painted, not because some wrongs need to be righted. You came into this body because you are this energy of expansion that loves the feeling of the new idea, and you love the feeling of the closing the gap and the becoming that which is new, which is the new vantage point, which then gives birth to the new idea. You wouldn't for a moment get rid of contrast if you could, because you know the contrast is what all of these dreams that are over there in vibrational escrow are made from. But we know that you would gladly give up the resistance, and that is what this gathering is all about. We want you to relax into the well-being, into the luxury, into the evidence, into the abundance of the life that is meant for you. And most of all, we want you to stop beating up on yourself about where you are, because where you are is just fine, and it's temporary anyway. Well, let's all go to the beach. You have some things you want to talk about? Some things. Begin right here, then here. Yes.